All right, guys, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be breaking down this small 3-game slate on New Year's. So happy New Year's to you guys. Hopefully you guys had a good, really holiday break, good Christmas, good New Year's Eve, had a lot of fun. But this is an interesting one. We don't have too much slate impacting injury news, so looks like it could be more of a straightforward slate. So let's go ahead and get into it. As always, starting out with the injury situation. As it sits, we got Drew Holiday listed out, Chris Middleton out. Okay, and that's really it. We also need to get news on Bradley Beal and also Jamal Murray. Okay, if Jamal Murray sits, we're looking at Bones Highland as a really strong price point play. And if Bradley Beal sits, it really just elevates Porzingis, Kyle Kuzma, Monte Morris. You know, those are all going to be good plays as well. But let's just go ahead and, with the lack of injury news, let's just go ahead and get into the top values for this slate. So as always, I do like to start off with FanDuel. Javon Carter is looking like the best value on FanDuel and probably going to be on DraftKings as well. He is someone that does benefit a decent amount with Drew Holiday off the court. Now, that didn't happen 2 games ago, but then that did happen in the previous game. So, you know, the minutes are going to be there. The usage just needs to be there for him, okay? And given the price tag, like if it's even halfway there, the production and whatnot that he typically gets with Drew Holiday off the court, he should be in for a good enough game. Okay, maybe he won't be someone that like wins you a GPP, but at the same time, he is someone that should be able to help you cash. Maybe more of a cash play because he's going to be a safe. From there, Grayson Allen, you know, he is also going to get a lot of minutes. Saw about 30 minutes in the previous game. Hasn't shot the ball well. If he goes out and shoots the ball really well, he could be someone that is a great GPP play. So whereas Carter probably going to be more of a safe play, Grayson Allen makes more sense in the sense that he could be a good GPP play. Looking at Memphis, this is going to be a game that you want to attack. So it is kind of interesting. I'll show you guys that real quick. It has a high over and under. So in a small 3-game slate, it does make sense to try to pull from the best game. So the fact that Jaren Jackson and Steven Adams are both popping up, that is something that's intriguing to me. That would tell me that I want to be on, you know, so those could be 2 very good plays. Michael Porter Jr., potentially a really good play. If Aaron Gordon were to sit, he'd be even better, but still a pretty good price point, especially looking at the price difference. There isn't a big price difference there. And then from there, nothing too crazy. Obviously, small 3-game slate, nothing too crazy. Let's go ahead and look at DraftKings value. Steven Adams is popping up more on DraftKings. So if you are looking to play Steven Adams, he did just crush last night. And he could easily crush tonight as well. Very cheap price tag for him. Like the bust potential for him is pretty low. He should be a safe play. So he does make a lot of sense on DraftKings. I think we are going to have to be trying to play him on DraftKings. Same thing with Jaren Jackson. Very cheap price tag on DraftKings compared to FanDuel. So this is already looking like a slate in which we probably want to be playing on DraftKings, just given the natural value that's out there more so on DraftKings than on FanDuel. And then just looking to see which players are the best players on the OF index. Okay, so we're seeing Giannis popping up there, Jokic. Giannis is kind of the standout play to me. I think he's going to be the player I want to go out of my way to play the most of. Sabonis popping up there, John Morant. Once again, though, I do like the idea of just kind of stacking that Memphis game. So maybe Morant, maybe Sabonis, maybe Fox, maybe Jackson. Like, I like that path a lot. So now let's go ahead and get into the projected ownership. So as it sits right now, we can just see, and looking at DraftKings first here, we can see that a lot of people are going with Giannis to start off their day, to start off their slate. Okay, and it's always kind of interesting to look at it by salaries first, just to see where people are making their starting lineup points. We can see it's at Giannis and then a little bit of Ja as well, a little bit of Fox. So let's just go look at total projected ownership. Harrison Barnes really getting a lot of ownership. That is interesting to me. I think that's probably just early in the morning type things there. You know, a fine play like on a small 3-game slate. It does make sense as someone you can end up on, but not someone you're like, oh, I need to play him. Like 40% seems too high. I would see probably think that's going to be half. John Morant and Adams make a lot of sense. Bobby Portis with Drew Holiday out makes a lot of sense. The projection is only 25 right now. I would say we could bump that up a decent amount. Oh, sorry, that's the minutes. The minutes are, I don't know. The projected minutes are 25. I would say, you know, if he can get closer to 30, which is what he typically does with Drew Holiday off the court, he's going to be a very solid play, a player that you would probably want to end up on. And like, honestly, if I was doing this, I'd probably bump up his rating a little bit on the OF index just because I think he's going to be a solid play. Grayson Allen going to be a good play. This is kind of strange. Like kind of these 3 players gain a decent amount of ownership. That's fine. You know, it's a 3-game slate. We're going to see the ownership be spread out. So let's go ahead and get in FanDuel. So FanDuel, that's pretty crazy. The top highest projected on players on FanDuel right now are all Bucks players, and 3 out of the 4 are Bucks players, or 3 out of the 5, 4 out of the 5, sorry, are Bucks players. That is pretty crazy. And they got Pat Connaughton there as well. People are loading up on the Bucks because they feel like they're a little bit too cheap. I don't know. That's interesting to me. George Hill, he could sit, and that would elevate Carter. That would elevate Grayson Allen, so his ownership would be spread out a little bit. Interesting that Fox isn't that high owned, pretty similar price tag between DraftKings and FanDuel. I thought people would be jumping on that a little bit more. Monte Morris, I would assume, would be chalk if we get news that Bradley Beal's out. So kind of just some interesting ownerships right now. I mean, this is pretty high, especially for a 3-game slate. Like, sure, Giannis would be expected to be high, but really the rest of them that's all pretty interesting stuff there. So yeah, I would say the edge on tonight's slate is going to be DraftKings. Okay, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and get into the lineup process now. So some people ask, like, hey, what's the goal of the lineup process? What type of build is it in the lineup process? The whole point of the lineup process is to kind of give us the direct feel of that slate as it sits that morning, to see maybe if there is a lineup process that we should be trying to target. And then maybe adjust as the news comes in, like small adjustments, or is it just more or less showing, hey, it's tough to make a great build. It's kind of mix and match our way in some GPPs. Like, it's always going to be different. And that's kind of the point of the lineup process video, is to give you guys the proper feel for that night's slate. So for me, I do really like the idea of going with a little bit of a stack here with this game. Okay, maybe we're going Ja and Fox. Whoops, because they could easily go off. And I want to point out, like, Fox did go off in this matchup the last time they played him. He went for 61 DK points, really went off. And then you look at Ja Morant, went for 50. Okay, so not terrible. Obviously, we would like a little bit more production there, but still very solid. 53, apologies. So very solid there as well. Like, both of them, that is awesome. We could potentially be locking in over 100 DK points, and I like that a lot. Obviously, this is a game that you do want to be targeting. So let's see if we can play anyone else, like Desmond Bane. Okay, I feel like he's priced up a little bit too much. I feel like we can find that production elsewhere. Dylan Brooks, more of the same. Don't really want to target him. Now, Herder does become more interesting if we get news that Monk is out, but really with him, it's just he needs to be hot shooting the basketball. If he is, he could easily, exceed this price point. If he isn't, he's going to hurt you. So he's like the ultimate GPP play. If you want to play him, you can. I wouldn't say like you need to go out of your way to play him. Looking at Harrison Barnes, just given the price tag, I could kind of see why people are jumping on him. The shot attempts continue to be there for him. Just been a little bit cold recently. And it would suggest that he should be in for a better night because it's eventually going to correct itself. Look at what he did last time against Memphis, 32 DK points. So given the price tag, yeah, I could see playing him because the minutes are still there. The usage is still there. He just needs to make some buckets. Okay. So, I don't mind that if you're trying to stack this game, it is a play that does make sense. From there, Jaren Jackson Jr. was really popping up. He is a GPP only play, obviously, just a little bit too inconsistent, but given the fact that we could potentially be getting 44 DK points at this price tag, that is interesting to me as well. And then I don't know if we would be able to fit Sabonis and also Adams into a build. Probably not. But they're both fine plays. Like, I feel like one or the other does make sense. And yeah, we can't. We don't have enough salary left over. Let's see what Sabonis did the last time out against them. He might not have been active. He was 36. That's right. He struggled, but I shouldn't say struggled. DFS wise, he struggled. I mean, he was close to a triple double. Okay. So almost a huge game, So like, yeah, if you were trying to stack this game, you could potentially do something like this. Maybe instead of Harrison Barnes, you go with some of the value that's out there. And some of the value that's out there. Let's go ahead and talk about that as well. To me, I see like Javon Carter as a very safe play. Okay. And if Bradley Beal sits, Monte Morris would be a good play as well. He averages 30 fantasy points per 36 with Bradley Beal off the court. So he'd be a good play. Grayson Allen, a value price point play as well. If George Hill sits, maybe something like AJ Green, and I'm not recommending AJ Green, but maybe get you 15 DK points while playing 22 minutes or so. And maybe this game is a little bit of a blowout if Bradley Beal sits, then he's an okay play. But yeah, Carter, let's just put him in there for now. It should be a good play. And it's kind of the same thing, guys. Pat Connaughton, the last time I was out, I was kind of telling people, please don't play him. Like, he was chalk for no reason. He was like 40% owned, and like Grayson Allen was like 10% owned, and Joe Ingles was like less than 1% owned. None of them went off that slate. Okay. But the thing with them is they're all the same play. Like, you're playing them because, well, they're getting increased minutes with Drew Holiday and also Chris Middleton off the court, but they're all like 3-point dependent plays. So if you can get one of them, just going off and draining some threes, they're going to be a good play. So I really don't mind the idea of going Joe Ingles. Been playing about 20 minutes the last 3 games. The shot attempts have casually been there. I don't think the 10 assists are going to be there, though. That was pretty random, okay? So he's fine, just given the price tag, like you could play him. But I also don't mind Pat Connaughton this slate, okay? I don't think he's going to be chalk. Doesn't look like he's going to be chalk. The minutes, have been there with what you would expect. Okay. The thing is not making 3-ball. Okay. And if he gets hot, like over 3, over 6, like we know that's not Pat Connaughton. That's going to correct. And typically it corrects in a big way. So maybe he goes out, shoots the ball, I don't know, 3 times to start the game. when he gets in and makes all 3 of them. And then he ends up shooting 9 total and make, I don't know, 5 of them. That would mean he's going to get more minutes. So like it makes a decent amount of sense to be on Pat Connaughton tonight because no one's going to want to play him, but you still would be playing him for the same reasons as to which they were for when he was chalked for a strange reason. So like I like Pat Connaughton there. I don't love him, but given the price tag, it makes sense. Given the fact that it's a 3-game slate, it makes sense. Try to capture some upside in a GPP. Looking elsewhere. If we get news that Bradley Beal is going to sit, Porzingis has been someone that has dominated. I mean, averaging over 45 fantasy points per 36 with Beal off the court, and he is someone that's averaging a lot of minutes, and the production has been there for him. 59 DK points the last game with him off the court. So was well on his way in this game as well, kind of just a blowout. Didn't really need him to go off. So against Milwaukee with a really motivated Giannis, I think he's a good play. Hachimura just been someone that's getting a lot of minutes and, should be a fine play. I don't mind him as a play, a GPP only play, but given the price tag, like we're trying to find value plays that can go out and win us a GPP or help us cash. And, that's him. Minutes are there. Just needs to be productive in those minutes. And he has been for the most part. I mean, averaging 22 DK points on the season. And he is like consistently going over that when he has a good game. It's the fact that he has these downside games. So he does make a decent amount of sense GPP wise. And then looking at this last game, I know I'm doing this in kind of a weird way than I typically do. Yeah, if we get news that Jamal Murray sits, Bones Highland is who we're looking at. And it's the fact that it's a back-to-back, guys, that I expect him to sit either tonight or tomorrow night. So if we'll get news before lineup block, which is great. So if we get news that it's actually him sitting tonight, then Bones Highland is who we're looking at. Now, if we get news that he's going to play, this is a cheap price tag for someone that could easily go for 40 DK points as well. GPP wise, it makes a lot of sense. Like his price point is not going up at all, even though he's been dominating on slate because he has these random bad games. Okay. He is someone that like, if you just put into your lineups every single slate he's on, you'd probably be doing really well. Okay. Obviously you're not going to cash every slate. So a few slates where he's hurt you, but for the most part, Ben, pretty consistent there, especially late. Boston wise, I feel like they're all priced correctly, so I can't really be on any of them. Same thing for Denver, especially if Murray sits or starts. So tough there. So let's go ahead and finish out this build here, guys. I think if we get news that Bradley Beal is sitting, I do want to be on Porzingis, and you also want to be on Giannis on this slate. So we definitely have to rebuild this, okay? I don't know if we can end up on Ja Morant on this slate, which is unfortunate. And then like Jaren Jackson Jr., I feel like he is priced up a little bit too much. I think Bobby Portis has just as much upside, but this is kind of the natural position in which we have to go ahead and find that value is at the forward spot, okay? And this is where I'm finally taking a risk on maybe someone like Joe Ingles or Pat Connaughton trying to get lucky. Maybe they both get hot. Maybe they're both shooting the ball well because, well, we kind of have, and Steven Adams probably won't be able to fit him into our builds, especially if I want to fit Fox in there. That's just kind of the slate. It's a small slate. We can't be too picky. And then 4.1 left over, maybe Grayson Allen. And that's kind of the sad part is that, yes, we want to be targeting the other game, the Memphis Kings game. We just haven't been able to. So a fine build to start the day. A little bit risky, obviously, by loading up on Milwaukee. Probably would want more of Washington then. And if we get news that Bradley Beal's out, we're probably trying to find a way to fit Monte Morris in there, probably over Grayson Allen, but price tag. I don't know if we'll be able to make that work. But that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like and subscribe. That helps us continue to put out more content for you guys. If you want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, click the links in the description below, as well as we have the links to the Discord chat below. Get in there with Chuck. I keep seeing screenshots on Twitter of Chuck kind of just dominating. I think he was the one of the members from Occupy that give out content, had a really good night last night. I think it was Chuck. So he's in the Discord chat as well. So make sure to check that out before lock. Big stuff there. So thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, good luck.